Hi, this is Bob Samuels, founder of TechConnectr. TechConnectr is a marketplace and campaign management platform of best-of-breed account-based marketing lead generation solutions. We've partnered with the B2B Marketing Exchange to bring you wisdom from leading account-based marketing thought leaders. To that end, I'm happy to introduce you to Gregg Medaglia, founder of B2Lead. B2Lead's lead story platform enables marketers to gauge prospects' interest by observing their interactions with their clients' marketing content. In my opinion, it's truly a better way to run content marketing programs. Greg, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. How are you today?
Hey, Bob. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well too. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
You as well.
So, topic of the day is account-based marketing. It's a hot topic still. It's been for a while. It means different things to different folks, but what does it mean to you as far as a high level, and then we can get into it a little deeper.
Um, well, for us, it's interesting. We do top of funnel lead generation for our customers. So we are attracting an audience and capturing that audience interaction and providing that back to our customers as leads. So, if you look over the past few years with ABM, it kind of came on the scene in 2016 or so. John Miller and Engagio, and kind of getting the concept going. So us, along with everybody else, had to, learn the new type of marketing that was growing at that time. So it's kind of gone through iterations. 2016, it was a bit of an anomaly. 2017, people started to implement it. We were all figuring out exactly the implementation, best way to go about doing things. And then from our perspective in 2018, it seems to have really become kind of a standard mechanism for most marketers to be using. It was really widely adopted and better executed in 2018 by marketers. So, that's been our experience with kind of the growth of it, as I'm sure many of your listeners are agreeing with that. But, if you go back in 2017, people adopting it then, from our perspective, were looking to get more specificity, tighter filters on the campaigns they were, or the target audience they were going after, and there was lots of iterations in doing that. We have some pretty funny stories from 2017 with people giving us target lists with company sizes in them, and then we would go out and get leads for people, and we'd give them the leads back, and they would end up saying, hey, this company size is, or this company that you provided us is outside of the company size that we requested, and well, we're like, I know, but you gave us you gave us the company, right? These are the companies that you selected, so if it's outside your company size range, then, you might want to adjust your company size. So there was a lot of stuff that was going on in 2017 like that. That was kind of a little bit funny to start out with, but 2018 for sure really hit stride, and it's really moved the industry from our perspective at top of funnel lead generation to tighter filters, more specificity in getting to a particular persona inside a specific company. So that's been the iteration of it.
Yeah. So you got to be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, sometimes it just comes down to doing a math problems on getting it done. One of the big things that we've seen in 2018, however, it was a little bit fits and starts, and getting the stuff, the targets right, et cetera, in 2018, and marketers figuring out how to use it. I mean, sorry, in 2017, but in 2018, it seems like everybody's got their ABM process in place, and are working to it. And we've definitely adjusted. We've built technology into our systems to account for suppression lists, target lists, targeting inside of specific domains, et cetera. So we've had to build a lot of technology in to support ABM. But one of the things at the end of 2018 that I was starting to see was a little bit of fatigue in going after a list. So if you look at ABM and really ABM's evolution in the short period of time it's been out, ABM was, hyper targeted, send a bottle of wine out to the CEO, write him a hand, written letter, et cetera, et cetera, very really hyper targeting. But then pretty quickly you started to see things that were kind of less than, strategic ABM, the kind of the concept of ABM light or programmatic ABM. And because what I saw in 2018, and this is just from our perspective, is it feels a little bit like marketers are really, they've done so much targeting on their list that maybe there's a little bit of list fatigue or, ABM target list domain fatigue, where, this is our target, we're going after it, we're going after it, we're going after it. And, the double-edged sword with it is you're really targeted, but you can over contact or over interact with a limited amount of targets. And the flip side of it is you may be missing out on things that are outside of that. So that's kind of where you started to see ABM light, procedures come in place, and programmatic ABM, which is even broader, some ABM techniques, but kind of delivered to much larger audiences. They use ABM concepts where they're not really true ABM. And I think towards the end of 2018, that's some of what we started to see in trying to generate new leads. So we live at the top of the funnel. We're the ones trying to generate new leads for our customers and reach new, the audience that they're targeting. But at the end of the day, you're up against kind of the laws of physics. There's only so many people in those domains that you're going to be able to contact and engage with. And you start to see a little bit of fatigue like that at the end of the year.
So the lists are too restrictive, and they're missing out on. I read your white paper, the ABM content challenge, and I think it's excellent. And you talk about if you get too hyper targeted, you're going to miss what you call the companies that are invisible to you.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. We've seen, over the years as we did campaigns that, had fairly open filters and topics that were broad reaching. So you can kind of think of that as casting a wide net. You're going to capture a lot of things in that net, was kind of the analogy we used in that paper. You're going to capture a lot of things in that net, some of which are useful to you, perhaps quite a few that are not, but you can find nuggets of gold inside of that net. We know that personally from doing our own marketing. The advantage of doing that inbound kind of content or email outbound type of content to a broader filters is that it gives you a chance, if you do it well, to kind of make the invisible visible to you. You just, it's very difficult, especially like, if you're a marketer, you go to your, typical ABM scenario where you go to your sales organization, ask them, about their personas, who they'd like to target. You're really relying on having a precise target to go after for your marketing efforts. So that does two things. It focuses you, it limits you to what you're going to be going after, and you can get good messaging, but you may not capture everything that's out there, and what you don't know what you don't know. So we used to do just a ton of more open filtered, lower title requirements, and kind of broad-based marketing. That used to be kind of the norm. ABM came in, and everybody's like gone to these tighter filters. But like I said, you can get fatigue with that. So what we try to do for our customers is really go, hey, you can do both. They're not it's not ABM or inbound open filter kind of marketing. It can be ABM and open filter marketing. So you can do both. So one of the things that we try to communicate with customers is that, at the moment that we do a ton of email, outbound marketing. So it's getting tougher and tougher. That's another trend in the industry. It's really getting tougher and tougher to get in front of a person, and bots have really become a big challenge. We've got technology that we've built in and kind of stumbled upon and have built out to try to screen that out a lot, but that's really changed. So, but if you are fortunate enough to get your content into a reader, at the moment you get that content into them, most of what I see out there is, it's a single PDF white paper that gets delivered to somebody, and they have that single interaction with it. At that moment, which is so valuable, why not present more of a story to the reader? There's other things that your organization is doing, and that's where content segmentation can come in. So you can have your ABM type of content included with your broader range content if you deliver it on a platform. So you kind of cast a wide net with the more open, more interesting type of content. Like the content might be something like, how, you know, moving somebody from a technologist to a management position, how to do that well. Things that are broad reaching. But then when you deliver that with things that are more specific to the persona you're trying to go after. So, what we try to do is to engage at a broad level and then narrow the content down, and offer that at the same time inside the platform that the reader is interacting with. And that way you have more insight into what the reader is doing. So you can use your ABM content in that large net kind of casting, where you cast with a large net, but then also at the same time offer some more specific stuff to your persona. And if you can watch them interacting with that, now you're casting the wide net, you're finding some nuggets of gold out there, and you're not missing things that are currently, invisible to you right now. I'm not saying not to do ABM, but a lot of people, what I've seen is kind of no longer doing casting the wider net and finding those things out there that they hadn't seen before or didn't even know were out there. So like I said, when at the end of 2018, it started to see some fatigue on going after the lists, and I don't know if there might be a swing back to maybe some more open filters or different combination techniques. And like I had mentioned before, was there's different levels of ABM, and they may become more and more in play rather than just strategic ABM, which is super targeting, or ABM light, which is kind of a one to few scenario. Programmatic ABM and higher uses of around bigger content nets might come into play. Who knows? But anyway,
Who
that's
knows?
from our view.
So when you use a certain content or bait to bring someone in, are you suggesting to show them several different types of assets when they come in, and so they can choose from some of the ones that are meant for deeper in the funnel or different sorts of situations? And
yeah, just trying to make the content work. We have a very particular view on the industry, right? There's lots of different views on it, but people that we work with are doing content marketing, and they're trying to get to an audience, so they want us to get their content in front of people, right? So I just think that moment is so valuable. It's so much harder to get in front of people now and get their engagement, is that you can, and if you have content that you view as segmented, or you're doing lead scoring, right? So content that's wide net cast is, technology for dummies, right? And then I'll get a lot of people, but there's things in there like a case study or playbooks,
ROI calculator.
Yeah, ROI, things that are even, we can add links, with the content. We kind of do a thumbnail thing next to the main content. You can have webinars, events, anything else that might engage a reader at a deeper level, or take them on what you consider to be the buyer's, a typical buyer's journey that starts with maybe a little bit deeper content piece. Those types of things that you can offer at the same time. So you're casting the wide net, but using content to filter. So the problem previously was that, you'd cast a wide net and you'd get all kind of crazy things, right? That may not be what you're looking for. But the casting the wide net and then combining it with targeted content, so you can watch people who, you cast that wide net, but now inside of there, maybe 3% of the people would interact with the content that's more directly related to the normal buyer's journey for your specific customer. You see them interacting with it. They may very well have not ever come to any targeted content that you know, a targeted campaign that you were going after because you may not have targeted them, right? You might have missed the target on it. Now you've captured them, but you're letting the content work to give you some insight into, hey, this 3% might be the right people to take on a little bit more interaction with, right? So you're you know, you're kind of using both in combination, and not just one exclusively, right?
Right, exactly.
Because
Well, I really like, I'm a big fan of B2Lead, and one of the things I think you guys do well, better than anybody, as far as I know, is understanding the behavior or the interactions of the lead or the registrant, as opposed to just sending them a white paper and hope they download it and hope they did something with it.
right. Yeah, I mean, we kind of view our differentiator as having, you know, the engagement in and around the content. Kind of an interesting thing that's a byproduct of it, and is probably way longer of a discussion than, you know, be called for right now in this format, maybe a different down the road. But, you know, kind of a strange byproduct that we never really thought of is, you know, when we deliver everything on the platform, we can watch people engage with the content. But a few years ago, we started, you know, scratching our head as like, what are all these strange engagements happening? And, you know, we discovered that bot filtering, which is a normal part of the security process, became a bigger and bigger issue. And a lot of leads out there that, you know, may be viewed as a lead end up being security bots interacting and clicking through, right? And so, you know, that's a whole other topic of discussion. But because we were watching the engagement of the reader and trying to get more engagement of different content pieces, we kind of, as a byproduct of that, discovered, you know, bot filtering out of the other side of that. So, you know, those kind of things, you're looking, is it engagement and is it real engagement, right? So we're all about the delivery and the interaction with the content. That's just kind of the place that we've staked out.
What kind of prevalence were you seeing as far as the percent of bots versus real registrants?
You know, I got to say, it can be really outrageous. There's companies that we said, hey, you know, why don't you run your campaign on, once you run your campaign separately and then run it on our platform, and we'll give you our stats back. So one of the biggest one, you know, they got like 306 leads or something like that. And we ran it on our platform, and we realized that it was about 6 leads were real and about 300 were not. We've seen, you know, that's pretty egregious when it was an older list, but we've seen it as high as 90%, you know, their security clicks. So what happens is the security clicks, or the security, you know, things like Blue Coat, Barracuda, that type of stuff, just as part of their, you know, process, will click on a link as part of the security process. So it comes in, it has no browser interaction. It does a predicted pattern of things, and you can see that it's not human interaction. But it doesn't mean it's a bad contact. It just means the contact didn't click all the way through, right? It's part of just, you know, when the email is received, the security system goes out and starts to navigate the links, which can spoof the email service providers into thinking it's a click. And unless you're tracking the interaction on the back end, it's very difficult to tell that that is not a person. It's a, you know, security bot coming through. So that's gotten bigger and bigger issue that I've seen over the, you know, let's say the past 5 years or so. So it can kind of spoof. It doesn't mean it's a bad contact. It just means that the contact didn't necessarily go all the way through. But that's a whole other discussion, and probably have to have our director of technology on so about
Stay
that
tuned.
particular
All right, we'll
one.
have that one later. I think that
Okay.
sounds interesting, actually.
Sure.
So getting back to ABM, have you do you have any examples of some ABM success stories, either some of your clients or maybe you guys? I don't know if you drink your own champagne or.
Yeah, we do. Well, you know, we do ABM internally in the company, and we do drink our own champagne. We do our own campaigns here. It's funny, we do marketing for everybody else, and we probably don't do enough marketing for ourselves. But we've adopted it as well. Here's one of the things that I think maybe we do a little bit differently than what I see with marketers doing right now is we don't limit the we don't require for when we do it ourselves, we don't go after just the CEO, right? I see a lot of stuff that comes through from us and it's been kind of title creep over the years. And so, everybody wants a VP or the CEO or whatever else. Those are, when we look at statistics on who opens emails and engages with content, overwhelmingly it's at the staff level, right? The staff are much more likely to open an email and engage with it than it's almost, you can predict it, each level you go up in the title architecture, the less opening, the less able you are to get into them. So, B2Lead, when we started the company, we first started doing marketing, we really got off the ground by, this was before ABM was even a thing. We just, had a target list and we emailed out to it, and we just emailed out regardless of what the title level was. But we discovered that we had engagement at the staff level, but 7 people in the same company. They were not sharing the white paper between each other. They were sharing the link. So they kept coming back to the link. And they were all staff level. But the interest across the board was what was really intriguing. And that ended up being our biggest customer. And that really, is what kind of got the company off the ground. And so I've always been an advocate of just getting people to engage, because they end up being your advocates inside the company. And it's much easier to get a hold of them and get time to interact with them. They're much more willing to engage. And so from our perspective, yeah, we do ABM. We have a particular company persona that we really plays well with us. But we don't limit the targeting at a high title level. We're more interested in getting traction, and then we feel once we get the traction with anybody in the organization that we can get an advocate in the organization. They're not necessarily the economic or technical buyer, but they're an advocate and can help us navigate, through the organization. So that would be our success story from us.
That's
Other
a
ones,
great tip.
we just, what really at the end of the day for our customers is about quality and conversion, right? We just live and die with quality and conversion. So if we're getting them what they want, we're easy to work with. All the different component pieces that make up an ABM campaign, if we can be easy to work with and do that, that basically is what is a success for our customers. We don't get a lot of closed loop feedback from our customers, right? They're running busy and trying to get leads out to their salespeople. So much of the stuff we get is anecdotal, like, hey, we love working with you, or, there's a problem here, or whatever it is. So I'm just, the anecdotal story that I gave was from our own experience of how we ran an ABM campaigns, or we run them, versus how I'm seeing them run. Again, when you go up the title, chain, you lower the engagement opportunities that you're going to get, and again, you just continue to narrow your list down, right? So that's like I started the conversation with, is in 2018 I saw a lot of that narrowing of the kind of list fatigue, I guess, as you would call it.
Yeah, that's a great example where people think hire is better, and reality is often not so much, because we don't get the engagement. So so what do you see going forward? What is 2019, 2020, 2025 look like as far as ABM goes? What direction do you think things are going?
I don't know if I can predict that. I don't know if, what I described as list fatigue or, overly narrowing will have a pendulum that will swing back. I saw in 2018 just much better run ABM campaigns. So it looks like people really have it down and understand it. I wonder if it was, maybe overused. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but the only thing I might be able to predict is that it would open up a little bit on targeting, or maybe come down a little bit on title. Tough to to say on that, but it would be let's talk in a year and see if I was right or not.
So there'll have to be some loosening of the people
I don't know
got
if it'd have to
overly.
be, but we experience it here as an organization, right? You're trying to get more and more and more out of the same list, right? And so that targeting, basically, that's the ABM content challenge. The white paper is essentially about that. Is like, the how do you, number one, not miss some stuff that's invisible out there to you, and how do you, use ABM techniques but in a wider net, essentially. We're focused on trying to get more and more functionality out of the interaction that we have with a reader, the way we're displaying content, and the insight that we can gain from that moment that they take to interact with the content, and adding more value there. Because again, it's harder and harder to get in. If you think it's harder and harder just email wise, it's harder and harder to get into the right person, and customers are asking for higher and higher levels of title. Right now, you really better make, it's hard to get in and it's hard to even get the person to open it. You better make the most of that engagement as you possibly can. That's kind of what we're trying to improve and focus on, at the top of the funnel kind of, lead gen that we do.
Wonderful. So, well, this went longer than I thought. A lot of interesting things. I enjoyed your discussion.
Well, and you can't even capture me moving my hands all around, and gesticulating and all that. So, yeah, I appreciate the time, Bob. It did go by pretty quickly here, huh? We were in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess
Yeah.
I've been
So
talking
I'm
too
going to be
much.
going to so next week, I look forward to going to the B2B MX. It's a great opportunity to learn and share best practices. I know you're not going to be there, but your colleague, Mark Naxos, will.
Yeah,
I
our
look
chief
forward
revenue officer is going to
seeing
be
it as
there,
well.
and he's looking forward to it for sure. It's a great event, and a great networking event. So, I am bummed I'm not going. You guys are going to be
Yeah,
like,
you're missing out.
sending me, hey, wish you were here. So
Maybe next time. Anyways, Greg, it's a pleasure, and we'll talk soon.
okay, great stuff. Thank you very much, Bob, for the opportunity.
Thank you. Cheers.